Welcome back to CultPop. I'm your host, Jim Hall. Yes, we've been gone a little while. We've been gone a while because we upgraded our facilities in Woodhaven. Our editing facilities needed some upgrading. It took a little longer than we anticipated, but it's done, and we're looking forward to a wonderful 2018. We're going to have a lot of cool things for you. But in this particular episode, we're going to go back to 2017, and we're going to visit Motor City Nightmares, a convention that we go to every year, and we do 2 or 3 episodes there. Well, when we were there last year, we had a great time, and we had an opportunity to interview 2 artists and the people that bring the convention to you. So the 2 artists are going to be Steve Baima. He's a great horror artist that you guys know from all kinds of movie covers and magazine covers and all kinds of art. Man's incredible. And Mike Wooley. He's a fantasy artist that you've seen his work out there. And in fact, Mike also dabbles in music and has contributed music for CultPop. So we're really happy to have those 2 on. And then we're going to talk with Todd Brunswick. He and Tommy are the people that bring you Motor City Nightmares every year. And Todd's going to kind of talk about the convention, what it takes to put the convention together, and the fun and things to look forward to at the 2018 convention. So we thank you so much as always for watching. And before we jump right into the show, have you taken a moment to look that we're on YouTube now? So go to our website. We always encourage you to go to the website, catch up on old programs, but you can link right over to YouTube also, so don't be afraid to check that out. So right now, let's check out CultPop. With me now is renowned artist Steve Baima. And Steve, thanks so much for taking the time to be on CultPop today.
Oh, glad to be here.
Really excited to have you. And when I opened the show, I talked about one of the things I love about conventions and horror, science fiction conventions in general, is getting out there, seeing the artists, going to the tables, and seeing all the different vendors. But I love talking to the artists. And we met 4 or 5 years ago, probably longer now. And your art just caught me from across the room, and I've been a huge fan ever since. Let's talk a little bit about your art and what these horror conventions mean to you.
Well, I mean, obviously it's a way to, especially this day and age, that you can get your art out there and be seen. When I was a late teenager, early 20s, you wanted to be an artist. There was no way to get someone to see your work unless you're willing to pack up and drive to New York or California and just knock on doors. Well, that's not really feasible for most people. So
one of the things that I find interesting, as mentioned with the show, is that so many people will come talk to me. I didn't know that that's what these conventions were about. That I didn't know there were artists out there and there were things like that. And you have bigger lines at your table, many times a bigger line than the actors do. People come, and you go all across the country doing this, and I really want you to talk a little bit about this life and what it is that you literally tour the country, if not the world, and you promote your art and you produce. You do a lot of work, DVD covers, but you're really the classic art. I love you so much for the classic horror, and that's what you call your business, and you do so many incredible T-shirts and covers and movie covers. Talk about the art and how that takes you across the globe.
Well, I mean, I have a love for it. My father was the horror movie nut and would sit me down with him and watch Frankenstein on Sir Graves Ghastly on Saturday afternoon, and I just got addicted to it and immediately would just constantly be drawing Frankenstein and Dracula and the Wolfman on all my school papers. And I knew at probably 6, 7 years old I was going to be an artist. I didn't know how, but I was going to draw monsters, and that's been what I've just always wanted to do. Of course, everybody will tell you, well, no, you can't do that for a living. My dad would always, behind the scenes go, yes, you can. So one of my motivating forces is Dad, who's passed away now, but Dad, look what I did.
And he really did support you.
And
that's fantastic.
He supported me my entire life, and he did get to see a bit of the very beginning of the successes when I started to get published, and a little magazine cover, a little book cover, and the convention started to get better to where I became more known. And like you said, like wow, I've got a lot of people at my table all the time. It's really cool that people that I don't know are gracious enough and nice enough that they like my artwork and they're willing to buy my work. I'll never get over that. I mean, I draw something, I paint something. It's for me, I like it. But you don't know how other people are going to respond to it. To me, that's the payoff. It's not the money, although we have to make a living. It costs a lot of money to drive to another state, get hotel rooms, tables, travel, all that stuff. And there's a practical side to it. But you could ask every artist that's down there that's been doing it for any length of time, and if they're successful at all, they'll tell you it's talking to all the people. Many of them that you may get messages on Facebook or Twitter or Snapchat, any of those social media things. It's like at every show I get to meet somebody that I've known for 10 years. Oh, I finally get to meet you.
It is an extended family.
It is.
And you might know them from just Facebook, or you know them from, I see them once a year, every year in California, Kansas City, Chicago.
Yes, I have Chicago friends. I see them when I go to Chicago, California, certain shows, from Pittsburgh to Chicago, I mean, all over the place, where, I might see them once a year. It's like, hey, how's the family? How's little Johnny, blah, because we talked about our families and stuff like that, and you catch up. A lot of times we'll go out to dinner after the show, and a bunch of us, and get caught up on what's been going on.
Now, you had a really cool interaction today on Facebook before I came here. I just thought it was kind of fun and interesting and indicative of what we're talking about, and that was that a fan of yours had come, and she was wearing a shirt from the very first, like one of the very first convention shirts, and then she was here to, buy the wares of your newer stuff. Talk a little bit about that. It's got to be awfully rewarding that here's somebody that's followed you right along.
Oh yeah, that was 9 years ago, because I got to see the little copyright thing that I put on the bottom of it, because I wasn't sure what year it was, and I remember, okay, I'm an artist, but I'm going to try this T-shirt thing. No artists have T-shirts. I'm going to be the first guy to try it. So I did that design and had it printed, and I think Motor City Nightmares, their very first year, might have been either the first, second time. But she's wearing it, and I hadn't seen it since then. There's only 36 of them that existed. So she has one of 36. Who knows if there's any left? And I got excited to see it.
Yeah, I thought that was
I had
neat.
to take her picture. I had to post that.
And she was buying new stuff, and I just think that's great. And that's what
her and her husband bought some of my new T-shirts.
Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't give people an opportunity who are out there and learning about you for the first time. Tell people a little bit about the movie covers you do. That I think that's a pretty neat thing that you do horror movie covers. And then tell people how they can learn more about you and order things online, shirts, you do commissions, you've got shirts, all kinds of sweatshirts, great things for sale, how people can learn more about you.
Well, I do work for Synapse Films. I do some of the artwork on the covers of their DVDs, which is a lot of fun to work on. They give me a movie, I watch it, I pick cool stuff, and then I paint something, and it gets on a cover. I'm amazed. I mean, when I was 10 years old, looking at, movies and magazine covers, that's what I want to do for a living. That's what I have to do. And to actually see it in a store, it's amazing.
Right, that's me.
I mean, I'll never get over it. Never, ever. I do very little online sales, actually. I kind of try to keep it at conventions. I do have a website where I show all my new artwork and up-and-coming stuff, and that's just classichorrorsbystephenbaima.com. I put work in progress, different things. I could sell T-shirts and things online, but it's kind of impersonal. I like people to come to my table, and I want to talk to them.
But people can get in touch with you through the website and say, hey, I'm coming to Chicago, I'm going to see you in Houston, I'm going to be at Motor City.
Yes, I mean, they can.
Okay. Well, excellent. Steve, it's been a real pleasure talking with you. I wish you continued success. I absolutely love your work, and I look forward to seeing more of your work throughout the years. Thanks so much for being on.
Thanks. I had a good time.
Just pulled an old buddy off the convention floor, Mr. Mike Wooley. Mike, thanks so much for being on the show today.
Hey, glad to be here.
For the folks at home, you've seen Mike on CultPop in the past. Mike does the music for CultPop. He does the opening music and the bump music and such. And Mike's contributed a lot of art for me, for shirts and different things. So Mike's a great friend of the show. And Mike, I'm really glad you're here today. And we wanted to have you on to talk about some things you got going on. You're here. You got a table set up at the convention, which is great. And then you've got a comic book out. And you and your partner have got a really cool comic book out. So talk a little bit about what's going on in your life right now.
Yeah, we do, myself and my girlfriend Jessica, we do Cromwell Green. It's our comic book. And we just came out with our 4th issue. We're here at the convention selling it, and it's going pretty good so far.
Okay, now I started the show earlier talking about what a unique experience the convention atmosphere is. And so many people watch the show and don't really realize that, okay, they know that maybe there's some actors there, but how many people specifically come just to go and check out each vendor table and enjoy the atmosphere? Talk about some of the things you most enjoy when you get a chance to walk around the convention, about the atmosphere and the people and interacting.
Especially this convention in general, it's a fun convention to do. I think this is our 4th year in a row we've done it. And every time we come here, man, there's so many cool fans. People dress up in costumes as different horror characters and stuff. It's fun.
Now, jumping back to Cromwell Green, you talked about that's one of the things you're here to promote. And tell the folks at home a little bit, tell folks what Cromwell Green is. And you've got four issues of it out. And you're going to collect that into like a graphic novel, and then you're going to kind of relaunch kind of.
After issue 4, we're going to do a 0 issue and kind of like not reboot it, but kind of reimagine it a little bit. It's basically kind of like they're like ghost hunters and they fight monsters. It's kind of got like a South Park meets Kevin Smith kind of feel to it. It's fun. Each issue is self-contained where they fight monsters. Kind of like Supernatural too, actually.
Okay, and it's kids can read it, but it's more, it's themed for adults kind of. Right. And you've also got a lot of music. You still have your irons and a lot of different fires, and there's still different music that people can learn about with you.
Too.
So can you talk about some of the emails, or not emails, the websites that people could go to learn more about your music?
Actually we have several Facebook pages too for the music. I do Dreamgaze with my friend Fuchsia out in Arizona, and we have an album out that's like Dreamgaze, shoegaze kind of music. And my own stuff is like Spiral Path. That's like electronic instrumental music.
So something I'm interested in, you get to a lot of conventions as somebody that's there working. Is there somebody at this year's Motor City Nightmares that you're really, I really want to go meet Dee Snider, I really want to meet George Romero?
I would love to meet Romero. I'm a little nervous to even go over there. And actually Rudy Sarzo, he was bass player for Ozzy. He's been in a ton of bands, and he's down there. I'd like to meet him too.
Excellent. Well, Mike, I'd be remiss before we let you go if I didn't let you get all the websites and different things. I know Cromwell Green has a specific either Facebook pages.
Yeah, there's a Facebook page, and then Melted Wax is our publishing page on Facebook, and then Cromwell Green and Dreamgaze and Spiral Path. That's about it.
Okay, and before I let you go, another thing I forgot to mention about Mike was that Mike has actually created, when you watch an episode, there's our pop bottle. And our pop bottle counts down as the pop runs out. Our show, the episode is ending. Mike created that pop bottle for us. So he's been along for the ride since the very beginning.
Since the beginning, yeah.
So really appreciate that. But Mike, thanks so much for coming on. I wish you continued success. And I thank you for all the stuff you do for us here at CultPop.
Always, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Okay. Stay tuned for more CultPop. With me now is Todd Brunswick, half the team that brings you this amazing Motor City Nightmares convention. Todd, it's always such a pleasure to have you on the show. I appreciate you taking the time during this busy weekend.
Thanks. It's so good seeing you again, man.
Todd, you've outdone yourself. This is quite honestly the best convention you guys have put on. It's absolutely amazing. Parking is unable, right? You can't find parking, so that's the hallways are filled, the rooms are filled, everything's the movies are filled. Great job, great guests. Yeah. Tell me about Motor City Nightmares 2017.
2017 Motor City Nightmares. We were doing 2 shows a year for the last couple of years in 2015, 2016. And then after 16, we decided we really need to just focus on the one show. It's too hard to split, and you're splitting the guest roster, and it's a lot easier to pack all of that time, your energy and frustration, headaches into one event as opposed to spreading it out over the year. So going in after last September, coming into this April of 17, we knew we were trying to raise the stakes as far as we put a lot of money into the show with new screens, new sound systems, all that kind of stuff for the film festival side of it. But then also going after some new guests. So, Sid's still here. Sid Haig is one of the great favorites of the show. Dee's back again is one of the great, favorites of the show. And we were approached finally after many, many years that George Romero was out and doing kind of a last round of shows, autograph shows and fan shows.
And you've got some history.
We've got some history with George, as a matter of fact, because the very first Motor City Nightmares was a whole 40th annual, Night of the Living Dead reunion, and we had all the surviving cast members and John Russo and Restraint, everyone was there. George was, of course, the headline, anchor guest for that event. And then I think it was like 7 or 8 days before the show, we get the call from his management, like, he's got to go film this movie in wherever he's going, Bulgaria or something like that, because it's the next Dead movie. And it's been in development for so long, and they finally got a green light, and he's got to take it. And we were like, oh my God. It was almost a crushing defeat. But Toby Hooper came in out of nowhere, first time in 10 years doing a show. So it had its balances, ups and downs. But for him to come back now, and kind of we built, not I'd say the whole show around it, but we kind of had this balance where we can bring George in. And then in so doing, we brought Galen and Scotty in. But then on the other side of it, it's if we're going to bring in some I don't want to say powerhouse guests, but new blood to Motor City Nightmares, let's kind of reach outside of that box a little bit further. And that's when Matt Lillard decided, we can get him to come in, and then it was going to, Richard Brake and Dee Snider. It was all kind of coming together, from all over the spectrum of horror and film. We've got all these different angles, and I think it was a pretty well-rounded cast of characters for the lineup for this year.
Absolutely, you've done a magnificent job, and like I say, wandering the convention floor, it's just packed, and that's what you want. I
like it that way.
And the panels, people are just having it coming out of Dee Snider's panel, coming out of the reunion panels that are going on down there, and the Dawn of the Dead and 31, different things going on. It's just really, really great feedback. And then you added something this year. You've always had photography, it's always been a part, but you really kind of stepped it up where people can really get some really nice professional photos, go to an area, and that's been received quite well.
Yeah, I was, we've always been really more of a family barbecue, mom and pop type of show where it's if the guests want to do selfies, that's great. We don't want to impose that on them. And then some of the management for, George and some of the newer guests are because they don't know us yet. So they're we got to do photo ops, we got to do this. So it was more we got to do it. We got to, if we're going to go to this, we're going to have to try this new thing. And Hollywood Photo Ops, that great reputation, and great working with them, good synergy from the first phone calls. They could really help us, we could help them. This is going to be a good thing. And it was a little bit of kickback from hey, how come I can't just do this? You guys are growing too big for your own britches. And it's we got to try this, but it's also kind of you got to kind of evolve,
And I think once people got here, it was warmly received because people are still doing.
They're still doing
a quick picture.
Yeah, at the table. So it's kind of you want that cool backdrop one with the
if you want a real nice
print,
professional.
But they're still doing them at the table. So we didn't really lose anything. We just, like you said, we just gained something.
I think it's the best of both worlds, and you got in great names by doing it. Yeah. So, well, congratulations on that. And I guess what's coming next? What are you looking forward to? It's still going to be one convention now,
a year, and it'll be 2018 will be the next show, last weekend in April, as always. We're again contemplating. We got this kind of rounded out spectrum of guests, maybe going with more cast themed, show. So it's going to be, we could do a Rob Zombie film show and bring in the people from 30. You know, we can kind
And
of.
I
There's so
realize
many of the same ones.
It's
yeah.
too early to think about because who knows what filming and stuff might happen. But I was
Right.
curious.
But it's
Same.
gonna be
It's
a-
always the April, and you try to
It's
make
always
it
the last week in April. Yeah.
And I'd be remiss if we didn't bring up the film festival. And you had some really cool entries this year, and a lot of
Outstanding
cool
film.
stuff going on.
Yeah.
And people can catch up on you have 13 and counting films, so there's a
Right,
room
right.
just showing your stuff. But a lot of neat stuff you were telling me off air that has come in, and some entries that you're really.
Yeah, because again, the film is getting a lot more coverage out, social media, whatever. It's expanding the awareness of it, and that it's not just a horror film festival. That it, sci-fi, and we've got some really cool, funny animations that were sent in, and some really quirky little heartfelt films that aren't, monster slasher, witch, haunted house thing. It's completely out of that spectrum, and the audience, there's an audience coming to that. That's also discovering the whole horror aspect. So it's this cool melting pot that's really kind of evolving. And we've got one of the filmmakers, Sykes, she's here from Glasgow, Scotland. We've got guys who just flew in from LA. They're coming from all over to come and do this. Again, it's not a super huge festival. I mean, I think we're only screening 53 films over the weekend for the festival, which is a lot of programming in a limited time. But it's a really cool experience for the filmmakers. Yeah, I'm hoping.
Beautiful. And then finally, I guess I want to give you an opportunity to just kind of, in your own words, tell people when they're thinking about why should I spend my hard-earned entertainment dollars in 2018 to come to Motor City Nightmares. Look in the camera and tell people why Motor City Nightmares is the thing for them, because I think you've really got a special thing.
I think people, you do it because this is something you want to do, and I think our goal is we want to provide you the availability to get to the people you want to get to, and instead of being like some of the big national shows where you're waiting in line for hours and hours and hours to see somebody, it may be 20 minutes, and we really, even if it's longer, we try to keep those lines moving as much as possible, and we work at producing the show versus just and not there's some really great shows, I'm not knocking that, but we're about the customer first, and we're really about the fans first. Like, this is what you guys want, this is what we want to give to you. And coming from that side of the street as well, it's like, this is what we want to do. And I think the first rule of Fight Club, the first rule of MCN is it's really about, it doesn't matter if you're a fan and an attendee of the show or you're a celebrity guest of the show, there's no jerky personalities here, maybe once. It might happen once, but what we try
we'll keep that.
Yeah, no, that's not a thing. I mean, it's just a clash. I shouldn't say jerky. It's just a different personality. There's a vibe that I think we really try to achieve with the show every year, from the staffers on our side to the management that we're working with and the guests that we're bringing in and the vendors that we have. Everyone's kind of got this cool mix of low key, easy rolling, and enjoying themselves. So I think it'd be great.
Well, to wrap it up real quick, the thing I'll say that I love about it is I'm always recommending this show to friends that, hey, you want to try this? It's got the big time convention guests, and you get the shows, and all the presentation is grade A. But then at the end of the day, you might be sitting down and having a drink, and sitting right next to you is one of those guests you were so excited to see. Right. And if you handle yourself in a chill manner, which everybody does, then you're having drinks with the guests that you wanted to order.
They're hanging out and closing the bar at 2 or 3 in the morning.
And that's pretty rare. So.
Yeah, and hanging out with the bands. We got some outstanding talent for music this year. We got 5 bands playing this weekend and for this parties, and that's fun. And cool. It's more engaging stuff for the fans.
Fantastic. Well, Todd, I want to thank you as always for being on the show. I want to thank you for your hospitality year in and year out, for having us here at the show. We have such a great time and get such great content from being here, so we appreciate it.
Great. No, I'm glad you're here. Thanks.
And I wish you continued success, and thanks again for being on the show.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it, bud.
Stay tuned for more Cult Pop. Thanks so much for watching. That was a really fun episode. I encourage you to check out both Steve and Mike's work. We gave you their web pages. Check them out. They've got a lot of cool things up for sale and a lot of information about their work. And of course, I really encourage you to check out Motor City Nightmares in 2018. That convention is going to be right around the corner, and it's a great time. Before we call it a day today, I want to remind you, please visit our website, www.cultpop.com. You can check out every show we've ever done, and there's also links to check out our guests' websites and learn more about them. And don't forget, we're also on YouTube, so Check us out on YouTube if you like to, when you're at work or on the phone or doing whatever you want to do. Check us out on YouTube also, and encourage your friends to do the same. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.